This is Mark Marizaldi, head baseball coach at Seton Hill University, and today's video is team warm-up routines. I'd like to go over about 4 or 5 different versions that we use to keep a little bit of variety in practice each and every day. Our first warm-up routine is what we call our active warm-up. Our active warm-up consists of about 10 different lower body exercises that we execute 5 yards forward and 5 yards back. The second part of our active stretch is upper body movements, just to activate our upper body, shoulders, scaps, rotators. And then the last part of our active stretch is our rhythm skips and some footwork to get our lower body sweating and moving a little bit. This entire routine is done by everybody on the team in about 10 different lines. We're moving 5 yards forward, 5 yards back, and this entire routine would take about 10 minutes. Another option that we have, instead of our active stretch, we go into a warm-up circuit. This warm-up circuit is a much higher pace, a little bit higher intensity. We execute these 7 different stations for 90 seconds each, with only about 20 to 30 seconds in between for each team member to exchange stations. We'll put about 5 or 6 people in each station, depending on how big your roster is. And we rotate from foam roll, medicine ball exercises, and active stretch, which is some of these. We use full stretch bands, we use ladders, we do Jaeger bands to activate our upper body, and then the last one is ankle bands to get a lot of hip mobility going. So 90 seconds at each one of these stations with about 20-30 seconds in between. This whole entire process takes about 10 minutes to execute, and it will get your team very awake, very sweating, and basically ready to begin practice from there. So we have our active stretch, our warm-up circuit. A couple of other versions and variations that we have is our partner stretch. We can couple partner stretching with our hip series. Our partner stretch is really just a couple of stationary stretches. Our hip series is a lot of hip mobility that we like to get our guys activated with their lower body before we start any type of throwing or swinging. We can combine our partner stretch and our hip series with also our foam roll series. So we're basically foam rolling from the bottom up, working our calves, hamstrings, quads, hips, lower back, and upper back. And then knee bands is just another version of what we do here during the warm-up circuit. So we can take maybe 2 or 3 minutes to get partner stretch, hip series, knee bands, and foam roll in. We can separate our entire team into 4 different groups, maybe about 2 minutes at each. We use all of these different warm-up routines each day. Typically we'll do 1 or 2 per week, just to add some variety. We like our guys to get a good sweat going. We like them to be very warmed up before we pick up a baseball or pick up a bat. And that is all the different options that we have for our team warm-up series that take no more than about 10 or 12 minutes. After we execute any of these warm-up versions or warm-up options that we have as a team, our position players typically will move right into our base running segment of practice, which we do at the very beginning. So before we get into any type of sprint work, we want to make sure that our hips, lower body is all stretched out and activated. This is the typical base running format that we would follow. At the beginning of a practice, we're working through different reads and steals and jumps off of lefties and righties from first base. We're also working reads and jumps from second base off of lefties and righties, and then a variety of different footwork from third base, which would include tag-up plays, contact plays, and see it through the infield. That base running, again, always follows our warm-up and activation. That gives us a lot of different options to start practice. We like to create a lot of variety. We don't want our guys coming into practice facing a monotonous, boring, stationary warm-up every day. We like to make it challenging for them, but we also like to kind of keep them guessing each day when they show up to practice, how are we going to get going at the beginning of the day. This is Mark Marizaldi, head baseball coach at Seton Hill, and I'd like you to check out my next video, which is going to compare machines for batting practice versus underhand front toss.